the average American who's having difficulties, frankly, with food, gas, and rent, with money going overseas. And to see this epic amount of resources being committed abroad to secure another country's borders, I think there's a rightful demand that we have proper accountability.
Calls growing for more transparency on the United States' aid to Ukraine in their war with Russia. This is House Oversight and Senator J.D. Vance announced a probe into billions of dollars in U.S. taxpayer-funded Ukraine assistance. Joining me now to discuss is House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. Sir, thanks for being with us. I want to know more about this investigation and what you think you'll find through it.
Well, first of all, I appreciate Senator Vance. It's good to know there are some Republican senators over there that are concerned about where the American tax dollars in Ukraine are actually going. He reached out to me because obviously we have subpoena power and we're using the subpoena power very efficiently to get information the American people deserve. We're very concerned about where the money's going in Ukraine. I can't think of a more unpopular issue with conservatives in America right now than sending any money to Ukraine. And the first question every taxpayer asks me is, how do you know that money is being spent where it's supposed to? And the answer is we don't. And what we're trying to find out is where exactly the money went. And when Ukraine or the U.S. Pentagon says, well, it went for ammunition and humanitarian aid, that's not good enough. We want to see the receipts. We want to do an audit. We want to provide oversight to make sure that our tax dollars are going where the Ukrainians say they are.
Yeah. Let me ask you about a related question, because the House failed to pass an independent spending bill on Israel yesterday. So I got to ask you, are we to read that as a lack of support for Israel, or is there something else going on there?
Well, that vote required a two-thirds majority, so we needed Democrat support for that to pass the way that vote was presented procedurally. Unfortunately, the Democrats aren't going to support anything with respect to Israel unless they can give money to Palestine as well, which is a no-go for Republicans. And then a lot of Democrats said, well, they wanted to give money to Ukraine too. We need to see the receipts from where our money's going to Ukraine. I support sending money to Israel. That's about the only place in the world outside of America I support, and I think most of my Republican colleagues are exactly where I am. We support Israel. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Ukraine, until they provide receipts, I don't see any movement from the House Republicans to give them another penny.
I want to get you on this as well, sir. You also announced an investigation into former special climate envoy John Kerry's alleged ties to leftist environmental groups. I just have, that'll be the least surprising thing to me in the world. But I wonder where it gets you. What if you can find these links? How does it change what's happening right now in terms of the environmental policy we're seeing?
Well, I think the American people need to know where these terrible environmental policies are coming from. They're coming from these outside groups, and I think the American people need to know who's funding these outside groups. We know that John Kerry was communicating extensively with many of these Soros-backed and other outside groups who we actually have no idea where their funding source comes from. I think this is concerning because I think every American would agree, as you mentioned in the segment before, the Biden energy policy is not working. The American people aren't buying what Joe Biden and John Kerry are selling with respect to their oversight policy. And John Kerry's been leading the climate agenda for the Biden administration for 3 years. We have no idea what authority he had. He never had to go in front of the Senate. He never had to explain what he did. This was a position that was created by Joe Biden. He put it in a cabinet level position, but there was no congressional oversight of what he exactly did.
I got to say, Chairman, you're asking where money comes from and where it goes. I think those are good questions to ask for the American taxpayer. Thanks for being with us today. Good to see you.
Absolutely.